Yeah. I'll try it. Yeah. Plug in and plug in. Oh, there you go. Maybe it's that. Okay, we
There
figured
you go. All right.
the wires.
Now we're all taking this. Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and call the city council meeting for October 10th to order. Please stand and take the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag. To the republic which stands Okay, roll call. Let's go ahead and start with Councilor Pointer. Pointer. Word here. Adam Hand here. Mark Croucher.
Nikki Wood here.
Okay, and Jim Carlisle and Councilor Miller are not here this evening. So everybody is accounted for. Citizens comments. Do we have citizens comments tonight?
We have 7. The first one is Mr. Edwards with SLFRF, State Local Fiscal Recovery Funds.
Thank you, Sandy.
Evening, Mayor and Council. So, I place in everybody, but here I am. So, is it on? That's good. So in August of 2021, the city of Lakeside received a payment of $199,000, $199,681. In August of 22, received a matching amount of $199,681 for a total of $399,681. These funds were deposited by electronic transfer into the city of Lakeside. The money is from the state and local fiscal relief fund through ARPA, of course, American Rescue Plan Act. In the beginning, there was a lot of confusion all across the state and actually across the nation of how this money could be spent, what it could be spent on. It took months for the feds to finally come up with a final rule that kind of relaxed the reporting process and gave us people a little bit of flexibility into how to spend it, a little clarity. But we didn't spend any of it on any major projects here. And so in December of 23, as I was leaving office, I talked to Melissa Bethel about it. And I advised her that perhaps that her and the new council should discuss projects to spend this money on, because according to the rule, if it's not obligated by December 31st of 2024 and spent by December 31st of 2026, the feds want their money back. So it causes a concern to me, because in the 23 budget, Melissa rolled it into the general fund. Now, I don't know why she did that. Is that for, the question I would have, is that for, to be used as government services, which is allowed in the final rule? But I'm not sure that the services the city of Lakeside provides meets the definition of government services that the final rule would say it does. So, and Melissa said in the audit message in 23 that she was holding on to $390,000 for the city was that could be used for wages. So I don't know if she intended to do any major projects. But my issue is that if you don't use it on major projects, are you going to just let it go away in government services here in Lakeside and for wages? Wouldn't it be better to use it for some major projects such as a roof on a senior building and maybe electrical upgrades and other things that you may be able to use it on? I mean, I'm not opposed to using it for general service, government services, if that's allowed. I'm just concerned that maybe it's not an approved obligated use of it. I don't know if there's any proof in it. And according to the rule, it needs to be. I realize that the time frame is very, very short for it to get anything done, but I believe if you took immediate action, you may be able to get something done with this money if you so choose. This year's budget, you have a $510,000 cash carryover. Now that's a lot of money to be carrying over after you already paid the bills for the last fiscal year. However, if the Fed decide they want their money back, you're not going to have any money doing major projects. And I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. So I'm just asking you to think about it, and if you need or want to take any action. Thank you.
Thank you. As the council, as we talked about in our workshop, Krista has been tasked as her #1 priority to find out exactly what the requirements are at this point from the Treasury Department for an official ruling as to what it is. And thank you for reminding us about the urgency of getting this taken care of.
Question.
Sure.
Are we setting a work session based off of that, or is that later?
That could be incorporated into a work session, but
No.
we need to have official answers first before we might have to start thinking about, moving it to major projects if it's required.
My recommendation is that you set a work session so that, because Mr. Edwards is not incorrect.
He's not.
He's not incorrect.
Okay, so it's,
Couple of scheduled for about 2 weeks from now.
I think that would be, Nikki.
I feel like maybe instead of a work session where we can't come to any conclusion or make any action, maybe a special meeting instead where we can figure out something and then have actions based upon that.
You could do both. You could have a work session first and then move into a special meeting and make a decision.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Time is short.
Yeah, time is very short, so. Could you also look into, I know with the wastewater plant, they do have forms to allow us to extend the obligation period. Could you look into that?
I've been looking into
Oh,
it.
you've already looked into that.
Yep.
Okay. Good.
Next we have Maureen, SC.
Senior center.
Oh, okay, Senior Center.
Thank you.
What's your last name, ma'am?
Sorensen. Hi, I'm Maureen Sorensen.
Hi,
I don't live in the city of Lakeside, but I am the treasurer for the senior center. We had a board meeting on Tuesday. James is on our board. He asked me to come and let the city know that the senior center has agreed to pay 50% for the ramp project that you guys have been getting bids on. So we agreed to 50%. I think it's 11,000 something is your bid for that project. And we'd like to get it moving before the winter comes because our members have real issues with the ramps and the steps and kind of been working on this for a while. So we just wanted you to know that was what we
Well,
agreed to.
thank you very much. That's excellent. Very good.
Thank you.
Now we have Patrice James to the receptacles on the light poles.
Hi, I'm Patrice James, the mayor, council, and the city staff. I'm here today to request to be added to the agenda or preferably to get an administrative approval of approval to add 16 receptacles to the decorative light poles we have on 8th Street. Mike Armstrong Construction has graciously offered to donate the materials and manpower needed for this project. And Sean with CFE Electric is willing to offer support as needed. The installation of these receptacles will be elevated out of the reach of the general public. They will have weather-tight seals and lockable covers. They will be maintenance-free for years to come. These receptacles will provide a source of power for lighting and other seasonal decorations for the various festivals Lakeside hosts throughout the years. I would like to reiterate that we do not request any funds from the city. This great improvement to Main Street light poles would be covered entirely from the generosity of our local businesses, and seasonal decorations would be done by the great volunteers that live in Lakeside. With the 3rd annual Million Lights of Lakeside Winter Festival approaching quickly, I come to you with a sense of urgency. If possible, we would like to have an answer this evening or ensure this project to ensure this project be completed prior to November 24th, as this is when the fine people of Lakeside will volunteer their time to decorate the main street. Please help us in ensuring that the streets of Lakeside look as festive as possible. Thank you from the LBO.
Okay, next person.
Sherry Kinsey, opinion.
Lakeside City Council, Mayor, and citizens of Lakeside. I am here because I am appalled at the actions of Mayor Crouch and Councilor Ward. I was at a special meeting where Rob Ward read his unwarranted accusations of Adam Hand and Nikki Wood. You accused both councilors of bullying and harassment of the city manager. When you have an employee that complains about having to do her job, you need to pay attention. You accused Councilor Hand and Councilor Wood of violating the rules of conduct, and you violated them as well. I have never heard anyone being so condescending. I am ashamed that you represent the citizens of Lakeside. You don't represent me and my family. It is a true embarrassment to those who voted you, who voted you in these positions. And the fact that Mayor Crouch backed you on this is just as embarrassing. I hope that the voters are listening and will watch the video where you verbally assaulted two members of the council that you were elected to work with. You guys have councilors that are willing to go above and beyond to help this city. And you have driven them right into the ground. You owe the community and the citizens that you claim to represent an apology. You got your way, you ran a lying campaign to get on the council, but you violated that position. And Mayor Crouch, you do not run City Hall. You are, by the definition listed in the charter, as a weak mayor. And I don't mean that in that way, but you have no right to decide who you represent and who you don't. The citizens put you in here, and that's exactly the job that you agreed to take, and as did Rob Ward. Your responsibilities are to preserve order, enforce the rules, and determine the order of business. Keep the discussion moving. And it's very, very disappointing that you guys can come in here and just blatantly attack Nikki and Adam. They have done a great job. I have seen mistake after mistake after mistake from the city manager, and I was lucky enough to be on the public meeting law updates, and I don't know, it's pretty sad when you intentionally derail somebody in public like that.
Thank you.
Denise Ford, Woodland Drive Road and Ditch.
I was here April 11th to express my urgent concern about the road condition, the drainage water ditch on Woodland Drive, especially the one that's located on the northeast inner side of the intersection of Tierra and Woodland. My drainage ditch was completely open and free flowing. Today, I have about that much space left, filled with dirt, grime, all the runoff from that logging. The road itself has been damaged from all the heavy equipment and the logging trucks. And at that time, Rick Hunbaum was the city manager. He said that everything that I addressed was correct and accurate, and that they would do something when the roads are dry and the water had quit running. That was April. They said probably around June, maybe late June. This is October 10th, and nothing has been done. The rain season's coming, and it's going to be twice as bad this year with the road, the mud, and everything's blocked. I would like to know what it takes to have this fixed. That's what I need. I don't want any more damage done around our property. And we can't get in there and dig out the ditch.
Cindy Smith, Lakeside Fire Haunted House, October 26th.
Good evening. I'm here to let you all know that our annual Halloween haunted house is October 26th. And we have requested $1,000 from the city of Lakeside to help support our haunted house. It's gotten very expensive and labor intensive. So we're hoping everyone, you'll see everyone there. It'll be a lot of fun.
Cassie Sarami, Rules of Council.
My name is Cassie Sarami. I live in Lakeland Estates in the city of Lakeside. I am here to address my concerns about the manner in which the very public admonishment was handled during the last special council meeting held on September 16th of 2024. This will be the first public comment I have ever made before this council, but I felt like the actions of two elected officials sitting on our current council could not go unaddressed. I take the rules of council very seriously. They are put in place as directives, not only to instruct how council meetings should be run, but also how council members should conduct themselves while communicating to members of the community and other councilors. I would like to read a portion of the City of Lakeside Rules of Council that I believe were egregiously violated during the meeting in question by one of our sitting council members and our current mayor. This is City of Lakeside Rules of Council. 7.2.16. Councilors will not engage in personal attacks, will not impugn the motives or attack the knowledge, skills, abilities, or personalities of any speaker, and will at all times, while in session or otherwise, conduct themselves in a manner appropriate to the dignity of the office. Now, I consider myself a very reasonable person. I'm an active and engaged community member. I am a positive, thoughtful member of our city code enforcement committee. And as a result, I've been very selective in the manner in which I choose to voice my dissatisfactions or concerns in a public forum. I do not want to embarrass this city in any way based on the emotions that I may attach to a post, comment, or public response. I have not always done the best that I can do where this is concerned, and I admit wholeheartedly that I can always do better when it comes to communication, and I commit to continue to work on that. I have tried to listen to all sides of the members and leaders in our community and form my own judgment, my own opinions based on my personal experiences with people, usually after interacting with them face to face and not just on Facebook. This holds true with the way that I dealt with city government, elected public servants, city staff, fellow committee members, and volunteers. I try to see every angle. I understand that there are personal experiences that may form strong opinions and beliefs, and I know that a large group of people will never agree 100% on how things might get accomplished. But I look for the core motivation in people and the people that puts our community first and supports Lakeside as a whole in their energy, efforts, words, and deeds. I have supported this council, even when I haven't agreed with some of the members or the mayor, because I truly felt that doing so was working toward a common goal of helping Lakeside. In my experiences of this past year, I have found both Councilor Wood and Councilor Hand's commitments to this town, this council, and this process to be stellar. They are extremely prepared for each meeting, more than most, and have done hours of research on the topics of discussion so that they may contribute informed opinions, advice, and direction. They are the models in which we should be emulating. They are both very educated on the city charter, public meeting laws, rules of council, and process. They conduct themselves in a helpful and supportive manner outside of these meetings and are always in town showing up to help. They walk the talk. The egregious way in which they were not only attacked, but demeaned, accused, and publicly reprimanded went far and above admonishment. It was meant to be inflammatory, belittling, and humiliating. They were clearly blindsided on purpose. And to make note, this disparaging discussion was then continued into the lobby for several minutes. I am disappointed in both Councilman Ward and Mayor Crouch for the unprofessional, disrespectful, discourteous way in which this matter was handled unnecessarily. It was an embarrassment to this process, to this council, your constituents, and the city of Lakeside. Shame on you.
Yes.
Do we have any further comments? Okay. Next item of business is the Rainbow Property Agreement. An agreement to discharge two liens. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to accept the Rainbow Property Agreement, an agreement to discharge the two liens as written.
All right. So open for discussion. Any counselor would like to make a statement? They can.
I had one question.
Sure.
In the packet, we have a 2-page agreement, which seems to fulfill most of the concerns that we had in the past. And then there's a couple pages afterwards that are, seem to be 2 copies of the same thing. And I was wondering, is there supposed to be 2 slightly different agreements?
Yeah, we need to discharge two. So those are the 2 discharge papers once the sale is completed. We have to sign.
The mayor, let's see.
Please.
I do kind of see what Adam's talking about because it says satisfaction partial release of lien. Oh, okay. I didn't know if they needed to be the actual lien.
There was, excuse
Needed to
me,
be cited.
there was 2 liens and you're discounting each one of them.
Okay,
Right.
Yeah.
That's the tricky part. It's the same amount. That's the way we cover that $5,000 by just saying, well, that's not part of it. Any further discussion on that? Okay, I'll go ahead and close discussion. Nikki made the motion, right? Can you repeat it, please?
Made a motion, accepting the Rainbow Property Agreement and agreement to discharge two liens as written.
Okay, that's the vote that is up for right now. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay. The next item is 5B, ordinances. It is my understanding that there was no public posting of these in the proper amount of time. Therefore, we cannot vote on these tonight. So I'll make a motion to table both of these ordinances BI and BII until the next regular council meeting. Okay. I make a motion to, we're open for discussion. Would anybody like to discuss it at this time? No? Okay. So the vote is to table both of these ordinances until the next council meeting. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay. New business. Fire department request for $1,000. And this is a possible action item. We can go up. I have some questions. Last year, didn't we pay $500?
Yeah, last year you guys did, $500.
Right.
This year we have not been able to do any fundraising at all. And like I said, the expenses have gone up and it's not any cheaper. Last year we served over 800 hot dogs and we had a lot of people come from out of the area. So
Right.
I'm hoping that maybe you can tap into the first tax funds that you retain and help us out with $1,000.
Okay. You can stay up for just a little longer in case some counselors have questions. I'm going to go ahead and, would somebody like to make a motion? Would one of the counselors like to make a motion, and then we can go into the discussion?
I move that we accept and approve $1,000 to the Lakeside Fire Department for use on the 2024 Halloween haunted house.
Okay, good. Now, does any of the counselor have any questions? Oh. Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say, I love this. I haven't been able to go, but I'm hoping this year, maybe sneak away from the kids for a second and go. But yeah, thank you for putting it on every year.
Please do. We want to encourage everybody to come.
Mhm. All right, great. So it's now up to vote for donating $1,000 to the fire volunteer department. I'm sorry, Councilor Ward. Well, this was, okay, I'm sorry, I haven't closed discussion. Discussion is open. Yeah, we're just doing questions. Go ahead.
The only concern is which fund to take money out of if we fund this. Because I don't think legally you can use the transient tax to fund this.
We had this discussion earlier in the year and it was, the determination was that we were much more flexible and then we could spend those funds than we had previously thought. I feel like this falls well within that discussion and then.
As my recollection is the discussion we had earlier in the year was that we had more flexibility than previously thought in terms of what portion of the tourism tax money could be transferred to the general fund, not how dedicated tourism dollars could be spent.
You may be accurate in that either way, I believe that either from the general fund or the TLT, we could find the funds.
Yeah, my point is that if we do vote to approve this, we have to be able to tell the city manager what the fund is going to come from.
Sure. And I know the one tenet of the TLT spending rules that is most important is the idea that that the spending really aids in bringing people from out of town into Lakeside. And as was testified, I believe 1,000 or more people show up for that and I think they're coming from all around. So it seems to me that in itself is a tourist activity.
Councilor Pointer.
Certainly seems to me also that it's a legitimate tourist activity and legitimately brings possibly income and these people into town. Should go.
So
Oh, I'm sorry.
May I make a suggestion?
Yes.
You could use the city's portion of the TLT funds. It's divided. Some are dedicated only for tourism, some goes into the general fund for our discretion. You could use our discretionary funding.
We could pull back 1,000 of the 25,000 that we originally didn't put in there. So what account would that come out of?
It will still come out of the general fund, but it is derived from your TLT dollars.
That's what?
90% sure this would fall under the category of we could use the PLT funds.
But we want to be accurate on that, so.
Tourism isn't people coming to town. Tourism is people coming here and staying overnight.
I was taught the rule of thumb is if it benefits the residents, it is not tourism.
Well, let's ask Erin. I mean, because we're not experts in this field, so. You know, for us to pontificate, we're really not getting anywhere.
You still have discretionary funds
Right,
from
we could
TLT.
very easily just, it's $1,000, why don't we just take it out of the general fund? And that will be a question to solve at a later date. Yeah. Okay. So we're set on that. What was the motion again? We put out the motion. Oh, are we done with discussion?
So the motion is to support the Lakeside Fire and Volunteer Fire Department with $1,000 towards the haunted house events.
Okay. It's now up for the vote. All in favor, raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
There you go.
Thank you.
Okay, IT services, Krishna, you wanna give us a presentation or introduction to this a little bit more? Now, we did cover a lot of this in the workshops. You don't have to reiterate that. Just kind of get to the bottom line stuff.
So we have 3 different IT services. One is our current servicer, CompuTalk. The other one is LCOG, and another is Covenant. Covenant is used by CIS, our insurance carrier. They are very robust, requires us to have certain things in place for them to be able to service us. It may be more than what we need. It definitely qualified. Our current service, as was updated at our work session, may not be serving us well. LCOG is, we can set parameters, set a certain amount. It's an a la carte menu. We can pull what we need as part of coordinated services with other cities. It helps keep costs lower. They will actually come into the building once or twice a month. They'll do an initial assessment for $1,500, which will also be part of that cap that we can set. As it is currently, I don't know if you all experience the same thing. Setting up your email was very difficult. It will not be like that with LCOG. They will carry us over to Microsoft, and we'll have seamless emails. If you get locked out, it's just like normal. You would forget your password, and we'll be back in business. The other services that they provide, I don't believe they do video. Covenant can do video. CompuTalk does not do video. Based off of the flexibility with LCOG, that would be my recommendation.
But they don't do video.
They
Oh,
don't
your recommendation is for L.
for LCOG, and we can still use the same video surveillance servicer as the library. So we still have somebody to reach out to for that.
Okay, and you don't have a final price on any of these. We've seen their fee schedules, but you're saying LCOG is committed to a $1,500 startup?
Approximately, they need to do an assessment. They are hiring some IT individuals right now. She said it would be about 2 or 3 weeks before they could get out here, and she said it would be similar to Lowell.
Yeah.
And it would be about as much, we could spend about as much as what we did last year, which I'm sure we're gonna go over what we spent at CompuTalk last year. This year with the added emails and things and workstations. If we add or take away workstations, it's just a steady amount. We won't pay more for extra workstations, but we also won't decrease in cost for less workstations.
And how many workstations do we have?
We have 8.
That's what's happening.
Okay. And Govend they had a startup fee of, I forgot how much. It was 1,500. Yeah, theirs was 1,500 for onboarding also. But then again, they want to do a lot of different things too. Okay.
Our city attorney and our planner is also at LCOG, just.
Yeah. They've helped us quite a bit. And at this point, what type of an action are you looking for? Because we can't vote on something without having a solid amount, right?
Well, we can set the amount with LCOG, that's the thing. We're already paying it, however much we use right now, we can set the amount with LCOG. So like, for example, if, something happens to our sewer billing software and we can't get in, we have to get on remotely, which LCOG can do too, but they can also be in-house. And so it's just however much it costs we have no limit on what we're spending for IT.
Okay. Does somebody want to make some motion at this point?
And this also came about due to the issue with the scamming email that were coming through, and our current service provider has asked us to sign a contract with them. So if we don't sign a contract with them, we would be without a service provider.
Yeah.
I move we accept the.
Right. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, it's open for discussion. Does any of the counselors want to make questions? Council Wood?
So we spent $9,254.80 last year. So you're saying it will definitely be more, you just don't know how much? Or is there like a?
With CompuTalk, yes, because all of the added emails, which is okay, but every person that needed help getting them set up, we're being charged roughly, I think mayor's cost about $200 or $300 to set up.
It took her over an hour and a half to get my email set up, which is ridiculous.
And it shouldn't be
Yeah.
that much. So it's going to be, I'm guessing 12,000 or more. It just depends on how many things go wrong and us not having access to Microsoft causes us to have to get on remotely, cause more money to be spent and time to be wasted. So what I asked her is, could we keep this at about 10,000? And she said, absolutely, and maybe even 8.
So you're suggesting 10,000?
I'm suggesting 10,000.
I would like to amend the motion with the dollar amount.
Instead of specific dollar amount.
That would actually be on the contract itself, or
$10,000 is the contract.
I'll second that. Is that right, or am I off? Good, okay. Further discussion?
I've worked with Elkhart in the past in other cities and they're great, great
Yeah.
organization.
Councilor Rand?
Just to clarify, I see that the total budget for the LCOG for the year is listed on here at about 60,000, and then on the next page, I see a breakdown of how other cities are paying. Is that, I just want to be clear that we're all of these other 4 entities, along with Lakeside, would be joining in to pay that 60,000 total. Is that what I'm understanding that, or?
This is a example, and she said, look to Lowell, which is on your second line there. She said that you can expect to pay about the same as Lowell. But there's many cities that are come in as a group, and the more people that you have, the lower the costs are, sort of like your insurance. So at about 8,500, but being that we need to hump over, and I don't know what that's gonna look like going from our other service provider to here. It may be a little bit more, and then we kind of pull back a little bit. I don't know what their assessment's going to be. I don't know if they're gonna tell us we need to do other things. Kind of unknown.
So if we hit a point in the year where we're coming up on that 10,000, we'll have to meet.
Correct, but we are also partway through the year as well, so I think that'll be fine.
Councilor Quinn?
What does Elkhart offer as far as that? The pump talk is done.
What do they offer that isn't being offered?
Well, what do they offer? Do they have technicians that can come up and do wire?
Yes, Yep. Yep.
They come out of Eugene.
they come out of Eugene and they will come once or twice a month. So that they're out here, they're testing, they're looking at things, which is a service that we are not having right now.
Further discussion? Okay, going to go ahead and close discussion. Mr. Pointer, can you repeat the motion that's on the table?
I move we accept the Elkhart proposal with the.
Okay, that's what we're up, that's the vote we're up against. Everybody in favor, raise your hand and say aye. Aye. Okay. We have 2 citizens' requests for the agenda. The first one is Renee Talon and Shirley Bednell, route map printing, possible action item.
I'll start and let Shirley come here. So, good evening. The struggle to get information regarding the ATV route to the citizens and visitors has been very difficult. It should be a simple task. We have personally printed hundreds of maps on our home printers. We've worked with businesses and assisted some of the local short-term rentals with information about the route. We volunteer our time to help promote our city. I wrote a lengthy description of how we got here to this point tonight, but I'm not going to take everyone's time. So I'm going to skip it and try to be brief. I would like to thank Alan for getting the map and rules on the website. recently, twice. I would like to thank Sean Warren for printing the first 500 maps that have been distributed. After I dropped off the paper for the last copies, I received an email from the city manager saying, quote, "We printed the 500 in good faith, but can no longer print extra unless passed by the council. We are to charge 7 cents per color page." And unquote. She said the printer was sick. Thousands of other pages have been printed since we were told that the council has to direct the city manager to print the maps. For example, Lakeside Todian Line and the huge councilor packets. The 1,000 copies have been approved over and over. Couldn't the city manager have consulted with the senior councilors to confirm in the past meetings that they've been approved? Council, will you please reapprove the remaining 500 maps so that we can get them to the Bay Area Visitor Center and other interested distribution sites? And lastly, I ask, why are Shirley and I standing here tonight? Is there a breakdown of communication between the city manager and council? Or is there an obstruction preventing communication between the two?
Now, Lakeside resident and grateful volunteer, and to elaborate a little bit more on what she said, I too had long speeches that you're all well accustomed to, and I have condensed it. I must say it was not our choice to come before you again regarding the remaining route maps. We were instructed by staff that we must. Our request for council action is for approval of a $70 expenditure of TLT revenue. The fear of being publicly shamed and ridiculed for our request is real. It's caused us great concern and frankly, a lot of hesitation to want to continue moving forward. ATV route maps were originally approved on June 10th, 2021, unanimously. For some of you that have been part of the process since then, I'm sure this is getting very old, and you must be just as tired of it as we are. Councilor Miller, Councilor Pointer, and some citizens in the audience today have heard me present 11 times now. You've heard this approved 3 separate times. It's long overdue for staff to be once again directed to produce the route maps originally approved 3.5 years ago. In addition to the route maps, signage at the kiosk has also been approved just as many times, but nothing has been placed. All we are requesting at this time are the route maps. We've given up all hope of any signage at the supposed visitors kiosk at the airport parking lot. Council set 3 goals for this term: code enforcement, the 8th Street property, and public communication. These maps and rules are public communication. It's a map developed by the city. Looking at the city's comprehensive plan, goal number 8.14, encourage connections and interactions with ATVs. 16, encourage the development of a rest stop and information center. I would say that the struggle we've encountered is the exact opposite of the comprehensive plan and the council goals for this year. An option is to have them printed at Staples if the copier is too thick to handle these 500 pages. It will still come in way under budget for the $1,000 of TLT that was approved multiple times now. A quote is in your packet from Staples for $605 or $70 to print them in-house. Either way, please direct staff to get this important task off of our to-do list. Thank you.
So does somebody want to make a motion? I will.
I make a motion that we, as a council, direct city manager and staff to go ahead and print the 500 copies at approximately $70 a cost, so that this whole discussion can get behind us and that we can educate the public about the duly elected
and a duly set forth ATV route.
Okay, we're open for discussion. Couple of things. As far as I could see from the documentation, there was no official approval of the maps. We're in a different budget year. Also, I mean, once the budget, we're in a totally different budget year. Aside from that, we don't want to get into that argument. How many times did you say some 11 times? That type of thing. This would be something up to our current council as to whether we want to go ahead with this. In regards to the copy machine, we discussed this in our last meeting about how it's on our last leg, and we do not want to be using it, for things that it shouldn't be used for. There is a line between the city itself and other organizations. You just, we're a business. You just can't use our stuff freely. Everything costs. You take money away from one to another. Now, having said this, we can think about whether we want to go ahead and do this, but we really need to understand that, this is, you should consider us a private business. Or your neighbor coming up, you just don't walk in and use stuff, and you guys have asked permission, and I understand that, and you've gotten permission. But I'm still talking. See next online. I have a concern there. That's definitely a concern about approval and that type of thing. That, we need to consider that. Additionally, obviously, the maps, why not? I mean, we have money in the TLP. I do have concerns about the map itself. I think we need to clean it up a little bit. I see we have Lakeside Riders on here, which is, we're in discussion now.
I just coming up in case you guys had any questions,
Okay.
updates, like
Yeah.
when the maps were approved by council and confirmed by the attorney that I can gather for you. I mean, these questions aren't actually.
I'm offering some suggestions.
So you're
To make it fit.
misstating facts while you're offering your suggestion and your opinion. Because it
And I
has
am,
been
I would
approved
say,
by council.
we're in discussion right now.
Okay, I thought it was an agenda
And
item.
we
so
are
can-
discussing it amongst
Okay.
counselors. And so for one, Lakeside Riders would be inappropriate at this point. That shouldn't probably be there. And I also noticed that we're promoting businesses that are really not part of the ATV genre here. We've got a couple of them on here that, you wouldn't be taking your ATV necessarily and going into the route. So if those type of things can be cleaned up,
The city printed this Lakeside Tonian with the mayoral candidate statement
again, Shirley,
on city resources.
Shirley, again, the council is discussing.
What you discussed.
Okay, again, the council is discussing at this point. Those are my comments. Oh, I'm sorry, Nikki, you're next.
First of all, the ATV route was a city issue, not a personal business issue. Second of all, I don't see the problem with supporting any lakeside business in the flyer, any and all lakeside businesses in the flyer. I mean, I just think we just need to not nitpick.
I don't consider it nitpicking. I think if you're gonna support businesses, you need to either support them all or, none, but I would prefer to see all the businesses on the actual route. Lakeside is not set up to, provide free advertising.
Can you tell me which one of the businesses listed isn't on the route?
The realtor, Would you take your ATV? Okay, would you take your ATV to go in and see the realtor?
This was approved by the attorney.
Yeah.
On several occasions.
I disagree.
$70.
That's my opinion. Again, the council is speaking.
And my only other thought on this is, we talk about use of this printer. I would imagine that 7 of us got this packet, and potentially if you were printed off for staff and citizens. So say 10 of these were printed off. There are 37 pages related to this in this packet. Had staff looked at that and decided to just print the 500 copies, we could have avoided that, and that is only 400 pages just in these packets. The excuse that the printer won't print off 400 or 500 pages just doesn't hold water when we're looking at a packet that is an inch thick.
Well, we're at the end of the season, right? The end of the ATV season.
No.
It's year round.
Okay, we can't wait until we get a next printer, is what I'm saying.
I'll print them at my house if need to, but it's $70 and we're wasting time, money, prints off the printer, arguing about it. Let's just move on, please.
Those are my thoughts.
Agree, it needs to get resolved. This has been going on too long. Detail, are these advertisements for the businesses? If they are, has that been offered to everyone in town? I don't think everybody knows that.
I think it probably, if we had some cooperation between City Hall and the folks trying to get this printed, any discussion or changes to content would probably be worked through pretty quickly.
And then the other thing, what do we think is our printer going to be able to print what they want to print, or should we go with providing money for Staples to print?
Like I said, I'll print them at my house for free if we can get past it. It's
Councilor Wood?
I was just gonna ask where we were at with the whole printer, because we had discussed it at the workshop about, are we in the works of getting a new one, or were we gonna put it on the agenda, or?
No, we don't have it in the budget. It wasn't something that we had prepared for. It wasn't thick when I first met with Bay City Copier. Since then, I have called them out 6 times. Also, I cannot spend TLT dollars without approval. So I just want that to be noted. And in good faith, I did print 500 to try to be accommodating.
So. I mean, I'm not asking for a lot of changes here either. They're simple things. It's just.
I agree, we can work on the content.
Right.
We just need to agree to get them printed as soon as possible and distributed.
Any further discussion? I mean, like I said, I'm not opposed to this. This is a good thing because you guys take it to other cities and stuff like that. I just think we need to make sure that we're doing this right.
Well, the city hasn't designed one. We haven't done it, so we've done. it. So
All I'm asking,
in fact,
can you guys do the changes?
you actually asked the business owners to take this task on
You
in a private meeting.
And all these
And
businesses
you
are
asked the
around.
business owners, said, why don't you guys do them now? Now it's been done and now you don't like it.
Can, it's a few changes, all I'm asking.
I would like the whole council to agree on changes.
And the
not
whole
tonight.
council, well, we can go that route too, but that's what I'm asking. I don't think I'm being unreasonable. Anyway, okay, here we go again. It's council discussion. I believe we're up. Have we finished our discussion? Okay. We're up for a vote.
Could we repeat the motion?
I have the motion.
Okay,
The motion was to, by Counselor Hand to direct staff to, and city manager and staff to make 500 copies at approximately $70 cost duly, where I stopped.
Just, that was approved by an election and by the action of this council. You know, it's not any, I don't think it's in contention at this point, whether or not the city has supported the map.
so the vote is for doing it on our copier? Is that what the vote is for?
I mean, the vote's just making it happen, whether it's on that copier, my copier, Kinko's, whoever, just get it done, please.
Is it for also taking into account the corrections?
Corrections. Only one that asked for correction.
Okay, well, no, if that's what you want, if that's the way you want it, that's fine.
I'm not asking for any changes at this time. If the rest
Okay.
of the council feels like we need to discuss it.
That-
further
that's
and
what
make
the vote
changes,
That's the vote then. Okay, all in favor, raise your hand and say aye. No. All right, the second agenda item is Ryan Armstrong. Big for towing the tow company record. Possible action item.
It was presented to the code committee at our last meeting about thinking outside the box. It's on ways to deal with vehicles parking at the airport behind City Hall without costing a lot of money to the city. First, we're gonna talk to city property owner. Expert towing does the towing exclusively for OSP, the mall, McDonald's, Staples, Walmart, McKay's, restaurants, and on a rotating basis for the city of North Bend. Because we do not have a police department, we do not have to rotate towing companies. North Bend has the records department do all the paperwork, and that's been the concern, is the paperwork. So if you look at the one here that has this on, if you look at this one here, this will show you what expert towing, because they are a full service towing company, they do it all. That means the city doesn't have to do anything. They do the certified mail, they send the lien letter, and they do the thing with EMV. So it saves the city time and money, and they don't have to stress about doing it. They furnish 4 of these signs. If you put them up at the airport and behind City Hall, it has the statute. That statute is in that packet I gave you, so that you can see it's only where, you know, we have 3 separate scenarios here. One is government, city property. You put this up, you do not have to put a tag on it. You just have to go and say, there's unauthorized or improperly parked, a representative of the city, so hopefully it can Dennis or Stamp here, would call and say that I need to have a vehicle towed. So they will come out and tow it free. Doesn't cost the city anything. They will store it. They will soon do the lien. They will notify the DMV, do it all. That's per the ORS 98.810 and 98.812. That's what's on here. Okay. they do everything, so. Extra towing, and then so I've been asked, well, how do they make their money if they don't charge? Because they do salvaging and they do their liens that they get, and also if the vehicle is not claimed or it's not paid, then they sell. So they do make their money there. They have said they have worked with the person to help them reclaim their property, in the vehicles, or they reduce their fees so they can get their property back, their vehicle. The problem, the only thing is if there is someone living in the vehicle, then the city must contact the sheriff's department and have them trespassed. And that you have that next piece of paper there, trespassed. We have this one, it's the ORS 164-245. And they'll trespass them, and then we call and say, have a vehicle, there's someone in it. We call the sheriff, they're gonna come out and trespass them. Once the sheriff comes out and trespasses them, then the towing company will come out and once again tow it, free of charge, do everything. As long as it's at the airport, city hall, or even at the cemetery. Okay, so if there's an animal in the car, we have to call animal control. And they come out, remove the dog or animals, whatever it is, and then they will do all the stuff. My question was to them is if the city calls, then how soon do they come out? And she says they come out fairly fast if they don't have other things going on. So let's say you call first thing in the morning and there's a car parked here, and then it'll be a couple hours before they can get out. Then they would call you and say, we're on our way, is the vehicle still there? And you would say yes or no. If they come out and the vehicle is moved, they don't charge it. So once again, it's free. So then the only thing they do ask is if you go out and you say the vehicle's not there, you call them, and that would stop them coming this way. Okay, so. And they supply for the, if you need more, they sell them to you at their cost of $8. And they just have to be, you can mount them on a post, you can mark them up, put them on a fence, you can zip tie them, you can screw them. They said it works really good if you use washers and you screw them into posts and stuff. So then that's one scenario, which is super easy, fast, and that might help with the problem of safety here at City Hall for staff, not to have campers and stuff parked. The next thing is if it's parked on the city street. That is a little different. I just talked about city property. If it's on a city street, we have to red tag, and that's the one that looks like this. In here, it shows, if you look at that packet, it shows the warning notice. Now, North Bend, they give two notices. They give a warning, and then 24 hours later, then they come out and red tag it. It's not moved. The ordinance, the statute that I attached is the 180 that tells you how to do it. And once again, it's the lien. You don't have to do that. Once we tag it, but they're not gone, then you call extra towing and they do everything there. The notice has the part about they can have a hearing. If they do in fact contact and say, I want a hearing, and it's the official way, the in writing within so many days. If you look on the 181, no, 190. 819-190. If you look at number 10, it says that we don't have to have a hearing officer do it. It won't cost the $300. It just has to be like North Bend does it, where the city administrator appoints somebody to hear, and be the council. You could hear it. And if you look at number 11, the determination of the hearing officer at the hearing, unless this under this section is final. So we could schedule a city council meeting, a special meeting, hear the complaint, and you decide. Once again, it doesn't cost the city anything, no work except having to post a notice of a hearing and to do a hearing, which is funding. Now, once again, Extra County will provide the full assignments. They'll do the lien requirements because they are a full service. They don't have to, you don't have to do any work. There's no cost. And something to know is like when the North Bend Police Department was contacted, that this is what's really interesting is that their new system went into effect July of 2022. They were doing a lot of towing the first week, 2 weeks. And after that, they have not had any towing because they know they're serious. The staff, but the difference is the North Bend Police Department, they are on a rotation and their staff their records department has to do all of the paperwork. They have to do it all because they're on a rotation there. And you've had a real lively meeting tonight. My head is fried. So they have to do all the work because they do rotate and use the different businesses. Expert Towing does it all. They also tow, they have these signs, you'll see them at the malls, you'll see them at McDonald's, Staples, Walmart, the restaurants. They do the private one, but their Expert Towing is also on the rotation. But different cities do all the paperwork. We will not have to do it. I talked to them and they said that they have not towed a vehicle in 2 years. They have not had a hearing in over a 2-year time. People just don't ask for them. And the one thing that Expert Towing is real serious about, they said, we're not looking to take people's personal property. We will work with them and let them come and take it. So now, so that's the second option is once you do the street, we have to red tag it. Or if the city if the city decides to give the 2 notices, one is a warning and then you go out 24 hours later and do the red tag. They said that works really good for them because people know they're serious and they start moving. If they don't, then they call and it goes its process. So far, everything is free to the city. Doesn't cost anything. If it's a trailer and if it's an RV, that's where things change a little bit. And you have the cost sheet in there. You have your cost sheet showing how much it is. A trailer is different than RV and could cost $700 to do the towaway up to a 30-foot, and that's all they do. So this is where things change. Sharon, the owner of Expert Towing, said each tow will be on a case-by-case basis. If someone is living in the RV or if there's an animal, the procedure is the same as above. Sheriff will have to come out, trespass, or remove the animals. But where it changes is the city will have to store the RV or trailer or leave it where it is until there is an asbestos test on 2004 or older. And so she says, like, let's say it's parked at the airport. You would go out and then the sheriff would trespass them. Then we would have to wait while the asbestos person comes out. And there could be, I think it's like $150 charge. And it takes about a week. Sharon says in her experience, people will normally move the RV rather than lose all their possessions at this point. Unless it's abandoned. If it's abandoned, they'd have to go to the top. Norton said that they do some towing, like I said, when it first passed, but since July 29, 2022, there has been very few tows after the first couple of weeks. This process can be also used on the church on the corner of 8th Street and North Lake. It could also be used on 11th Street because there's an ORS that I put in there, the 819-.120, immediate custody and towing of vehicles causing a hazard of obstruction. So people that have complained about being out here, they can be immediately towed. But that's a whole different process that you're probably gonna want to visit and stuff before we start. But if we just start with the basics, that doesn't cost us anything, it could go a long way. So I would urge the city council tonight to make a motion to make Expert Towing our tow company of record for abandoned vehicles and unauthorized parking, because Expert Towing is a full-service towing company and it is basically free, and free is good. So it will free up our abatement money for something more serious, like a code. And I would also ask the mayor to seek qualified volunteers, retired law enforcement officers and military to facilitate the program. And that would be to help, if you had a committee of volunteers that have been vetted, think what they could do to help staff go out and tag a vehicle. And, or if you have to do it, or Dennis has to do it. And the city has a volunteer resolution, and it's also in your group there, that protects, workman's comp, protects the city and the person going with them, but it's safe. And so if you were to do this, if the city has already a resolution 2019-10, a resolution extending workers' compensation coverage to volunteers working on city of Lakeside property, that would need to be looked at by you guys to see if it needs to be revisited. We have something that would help. And if you had retired law enforcement or military that could go out with you and help post it and be there, we might start little by little cleaning things up. So, right, move all over the place. Like I said, there's three separate, I'm sorry, I'll get back to three separate things to do. One is city property. That follows it, you have the packet, it shows what actually the towing company sends out, the lien, registered mail, DMV. It shows the statute of what they do free of charge. Then one was on our streets, and that has to be red tagged, and it has to have that about the differences the hearing office. And a hearing if they ask for it, but based on the city of North Bend, no one asked for it. They haven't towed in over 2 years. This company here knows what they're doing. They're the exclusive towing company for OSP. That was, for the highways. They also do, you'll see this at McKay's, you'll see it at Towing Village, Bi-Mart, Staples, Walmart, and the restaurants, McDonald's. I also saw it on at the other restaurant there. So they know what they're doing. So I've given you the different steps and the statute there. Our biggest concern was the hearing if they requested it. As a rule, they don't ask for hearings, but if someone was to ask for a hearing, it would be a simple fix. You set it within the, was it 5 or 10 days? They have to ask within 5, you set within, or ask within 10, you set it within 5. That would give me time to do a special council meeting and do that. So, and then the price of towing the RVs, she says would be anywhere between a case by case would be $1,000 to $1,500. In the past, the city of Lakeside towed one time a vehicle and it was $2,500. So this is a whole lot cheaper. Maybe I can. Okay.
The state and the federal laws has come down that if a homeless person's property is confiscated, we don't know if these homeless people are living in an RV or something, and that has to be stored for X amount of days. Does that liability fall on the city or the towing company to take care of that?
Okay.
I can answer those questions if you. with you, I can, 40 years of experience in the towing. Whatever questions you have, you,
I do know this vehicle, the towing company.
the towing company, that's what, that's it, it's
Okay.
completely out of the city's hand,
And the towing company has to take care of the storage and all of that.
that's correct.
Yeah, the only thing the towing company will not do, and she stressed this, is if there is trash around the trailer, if there is garbage, trash, like out at the airport where they have the blue tarps and stuff, they don't touch any of it.
The towing company can do that, if they put all of that stuff, they can just throw it in the RV.
Well,
They actually have an arrangement with the local companies, and we don't even have to do asbestos testing.
so that would be definitely something to check on, because she was at it, and it's on your price sheet that they have to have 2004 and older, it is asbestos required.
I have no problem meeting with the zoning board just to talk about that, I can give you everything you need. Plus, when mobile, which means it gets out right away.
Yeah.
Expert towing are great, but they're too far away. I did Goose Bay.
Okay,
And the only difference is they do it all. They would take it off your plate and do all the liens, and they store it, they do the liens, they notify DMV, and they take care of everything. So
That's right.
once you make your call,
don't interrupt while somebody else is talking.
once you make your call and they're gone, you're finished. They do the auction, they do everything.
All right, good.
Can I make a couple of comments? I know it's out of format.
Yeah, it is, but if,
Basically, when you're doing certified mailing, we have 48 hours or 24 hours to notify the last one registered owner. That requires access to the state record. We have that access. We also told OSP. Okay, we sent a letter letting the last one registered owner that we have a vehicle, we have a certain amount of days. It's 15 days to pick the vehicle up. You can put it in the yard, or you can leave it where it's at until the 50 days expire. If nobody responds to pick it up and pay the bill, then we can remove it and do whatever we want with it.
okay,
Okay, so it's very simple to get rid of them. It's just a matter of a tow bill and taking them. to-
all right, oh, gotcha. Does this have to go out to bid?
I believe so.
It's great.
Okay.
It's still,
I mean, as far as selecting, provider,
that's why North Bend has a rotation, and so everybody gets a piece of the pie. You have to, even though it's free to us, people have the right to want to provide a service for us.
Because we don't have to do rotation because we do not have a police department. We're exempt from that.
We still have public contracting rules. To me, it would be better to put out a notice for anybody who would like to provide a service than,
well, this is an excellent idea. And I do want to move forward on it, but I don't want to be violating any type of, law.
we could just provide a notice in the paper for anybody else that's interested,
And just make sure they're full service.
full service.
Yeah, I had two thoughts. First, I absolutely appreciate you coming in here with this information. I do believe that we can start addressing some of these negative impacts with parking regulations and some of the more doable things. My only concern with the presentation is that I know we do have a couple tow companies here in town. And at a minimum, they should be given the opportunity to match the services before we go to someone outside.
Absolutely. And Sharon did say, she says, what about thing there? And I says, do they do it free and are they full service? And we do all the notices and stuff. And then she just was quiet. So.
Yeah, and if we can get equal services for someone that does business here locally, to me, that's a preferred.
And then tow it away, so it's not like next to someone's house waiting. I mean, that's the thing, is they come out and take it away and it's gone. And North Bend and the expert towing said that you'll may do a few tows at first, but then it stops because they realize that we're moving them.
Good, I like the idea. Oh, sorry, Councilor Wood.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and thank you for doing all this footwork, it's a lot of work to get prepped. I did have a question, I don't know if you got an answer from them about, with the Miller Homes thing, what stood out to me was no fuel, no trash, no gas, the septic must be empty.
Well, yeah,
Like,
we don't, that's why I asked
Yeah.
her that too, and she says that, they looked at me like I was kind of funny in the sense that no, they take it right to the dump, to this dump station, it's $15 to dump. So we don't have to,
we don't have
I was thinking we'd have to buy one of those porta pot things and take it and do it in the sewer. She says, no, we do it, we're full service. She says there's not even a charge for microwaves and stuff. That's if they take a truckload of microwaves in, they charge them per each. But it went inside, they scrap it out, no. That's why she says it's a case by case on the thing, could be up to 30 foot is, what did it's 700 there, is it 700?
Yeah, 20 to 30 feet is $700.
Yes, and the most they do is 30 feet because they got rid of their big hauler. They used to have a big one that would do more, but so they only have a middle one that will only go up to 30 feet. And that's why my notes are on the bottom of that. And then she says that once the asbestos is the discussion, and they have it tested, that could be like 150. So you have the 700, 150. And that's it. But that's why they will not tow it from here to their storage yard, because then they have to then tow it back. And that's where it's twice, and they won't charge us that. She said you gotta leave it where it's at, or if we have a secure place to put it. But she says they won't go that far as a rule, because people are gonna take it and leave. Yeah.
I'm stepping out again. but I-
Yeah, we really need to kind of clamp it down now. I will let you have one because we've had other people talk.
Yeah, exactly. You have a growing problem out at the airport.
Yeah.
Campsite is growing every day. Elaine has brought you a solution, but it seems like you're making the intent to kick the can down the road for another month. That's gonna get really big quick. You got about 40 footer parked in front of Ziply. Take an action, either say no or come up with your own solution and do something.
No.
I remember in 2019, we had pretty much the same proposal, an expert firm, who really liked it. And we asked them to come out and give us a presentation. The work session, they called and said, we can't do it. So what has changed? And also say we need to run this by our attorney and see if all the detail.
Yeah, I just agree on satisfying the bid requirements and contract requirements. I thought that was the important thing to do first. I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
So I got an idea for a motion. If people.
And I just want to do one more thing is what's important to know is that if you go out and you decide on whatever you decide, but then I would hope that you would also start considering that retired law enforcement or military. And the reason why we say that is they want to be vetted. So you don't escalate your problems and stuff. But when they move it from one section to another section and stuff like this, maybe this group of people would be willing to work with you or Dennis and keep moving and chasing them around and keep red tagging them. If they're parked illegal, if they're doing something, not because you don't have the time to go out and do it. You don't have the time to follow them around and stuff. It's only if people driving into town do they see it. We want to clean up the town. We want to do something. And I think that once we start, we might see a change.
Call the button rule.
Okay. Now I'm really gonna just have to, put the someone to silence us, so we can actually move forward.
I have so much to add here.
Yeah, I understand, but we have to move forward. I believe you'll get an opportunity to add later, not tonight. But, so does somebody want to make a motion or do you want me to make it or? I'll make it, madam. I make a motion that, we move forward as rapidly as possible on that. A couple questions that need to be answered is, can we legally do this? The second one is, should we take this out for bid? But I say in our workshop, those should be answered so we can proceed with a final decision on our next council meeting. That's wordy.
That is very wordy.
Anyway, just, I don't know. What's that?
I don't think we need a motion to get those questions answered and brought to our next workshop.
Okay, well, why don't we do that?
Would you like to rescind your motion?
Yeah, I rescinded. Just way too long. So I direct the, if you guys are in consensus with it, I direct the city manager to talk with legal and also determine the rules as far as a bidding process.
May I add one more thought to that?
Sure.
If we're gonna discuss this at a workshop in about 2 weeks, I think it's responsible to personally invite the local go companies to attend that meeting and provide input if they're able, because they certainly know a lot more about this topic.
Well, we should invite everybody who.
Yeah, anybody who wants to participate.
But we're gonna get a lot of repeat information.
If the workshop, if you just put this, it's just my, but if you put it on your workshop and then carry it over into your special meeting you're having, then at that time you would probably be able to decide if you do have to go out to bid, then you can make a motion to do that.
We can do
So
that.
if you don't want to go at your workshop, because your workshop should say you can't have people talking.
We can invite people to provide input. That's different than public open.
To present, we can invite people to present, but there will be no talking in between, so. We can invite the three, well, or that actually really should be covered in the special. If we're, I'm sorry.
Can we just put it out for bid now?
The charter says $5,000. That was the requirement. They had,
Well,
they had in
signing a
contracts
contract.
with Mass and Bridgeport. You know. And are you gonna do apples?
Yeah, okay, remember phone of silence, so. I don't know if that we're ready for, because not all people have been informed of the opportunity.
That would be your, in the newspaper notice
Right.
that would be published. So if you allow me, I will talk with legal, providing that all we have to do is put out a notice. I would like to just put out a notice.
Because it's unfair to make a decision at this point in time.
And then if there is anything further to add after I speak to legal, I'll update you at the work session.
But we do want to move forward as quickly as possible on this, and we also want to be careful. So we got to balance the two.
Last time I was here, I asked for time.
Oh, okay.
I
Again,
wasn't given the time. I want 5 minutes. I think that's fair. Because I can clear all of this up.
no, we've already decided what we're going to do. You'll have an opportunity when we get to that point.
Am I gonna be invited to the next meeting? Because I asked to be at this meeting and you didn't authorize. Nobody gave me permission to
Okay.
be.
Right, and you don't have permission right now.
So will I have permission at the next meeting?
I suspect so.
I think it's our intention to invite yourself and any other provider that's interested in providing.
Why would we not if we're bringing that up?
The workshop will be the 31st, that's where it would fall, but that's Halloween.
So that probably wouldn't work. The fire department's gonna be putting on something really nice, so let's just do it the next day or something,
Or first.
next business day. Fire department's all over.
26, right?
But still, it's all.
I have the 26th. We could. Would the day before the Wednesday?
Fine.
The
You
30th,
guys okay with that?
6 P.M.
Would it be possible for Tuesday? If it's okay with you guys, if not, Wednesday's fine.
Retarded doesn't matter.
Either day works, but Tuesday's just a little bit better.
So the 29th, 6 P.M. All tow companies are invited. We'll put out a notice.
Yep. All right. So. We are now at reports. We have an airport report. Nope. Code enforcement, Counselor Wood,
That was the only meeting I was absent for, so.
Counselor Ward,
The Code Enforcement Committee met on September 16th. The log of citizen complaints was reviewed and discussed. The city manager noted that there were daily complaints about the homeless and that staff do not know how they're supposed to address this issue. Something we'll have to work on. Also that several vehicles were tagged and the process was complicated because there wasn't a standard operating procedure or a packet to do that. And there wasn't an adaptation made from the operating procedure from a different city and from the tag used by the sheriff's department to make those tagging processes happen. There's a staffing issue that was identified too that the council should think about. When there's a violation, either at a property or with a vehicle, there has to be physical visits to verify the complaint, to take photographs and post notices. And determining who will do this and how to do it safely remains to be determined. It's something that most of our city staff are comfortable doing or trained to do. There was a suggestion within discussions at the committee that this could potentially involve local retired law enforcement on a volunteer or semi-volunteer basis. And there was consensus at the committee to recommend to the council that the council obtain a code enforcement officer to perform these functions and determine whether this would be a paid or volunteer position. And even if it's a volunteer position, there's probably going to be some costs. There would be insurance and supplies and things like that. There was also some discussion about ideas for communication out to the community. One was to put together resources for property owners, especially the ones that have property that need to be cleaned up in some way, and to provide them a list of resources for getting that done. There are even some people who will come out and remove items for scrap value, example. Some general information on what can be done and what can't be done. So what you're allowed to do and what you're not allowed to do, and information on what types of problems or complaints should come to the city and which ones shouldn't come to the city and not where they should go. Because a lot of the complaints that come into the city are things that the city has no jurisdiction on. Just informational pieces for the community. And the next meeting is Monday, October 21st at 6:30.
thank you. Counselor Pointer, water.
I attended the water board Tuesday last, and they did their regular business, approved their budgets and all that stuff. They are in the process of preparing a website, and that should be it. They did sign a contract with a contact, Talk, their IT services. And the meeting went peacefully until public comment, and then there were accusations and threats made back and forth between the board and the audience. And it got very contentious. The meeting was adjourned at that point. There were 7 people in the audience.
That would be. Okay, so we'll skip the 10 Mile Lake, Fire District. Council Planner again, because Tom's not here.
We met on Wednesday for monthly board meeting. The fire chief reported we had 61 calls in the previous month, 32 of them were on the north side, which again emphasizes moving to a station on that side of the tracks. There was a discussion of possible grants for dredging of the channel between the lakes, which looks like it's a very good possibility. Report on progress of the seismic upgrades to the fire station, which will be starting fairly soon. It's of the engineering and planning is already in place, and looking probably middle of next year to get the whole project off the ground. That's about it.
All right, and then Councilor Hand.
Right, so the Lakeside business owners have had a few different meetings just in the last month, the last one being last night, where we had, I think, about 20 different citizens join in on the conversation about December holiday events. 3 important dates that I thought I should remind the public about. November 24th, that's a Sunday, is the day that we are asking for all volunteers to come join us on 8th Street. We'll bust out the approximately 40,000 Christmas lights we have in storage, and we're gonna hang them all up and down 8th Street. Bring your staple gun, that's very helpful. And then November 30th, the lodge is hosting a tree lighting ceremony. I think they put up about a 30-foot tree. Usually a pretty good time for folks to come and get together and start celebrating the holiday season. And then most exciting for me is December 13th and 14th. We have a pretty event-filled holiday, what we're calling a holiday festival this year. That will include hay rides, Santa's workshop, the very involved ATV ride-in and decoration contest. Throughout the month of December, actually, there'll be a contest with $500 on the line for citizens to decorate your homes as well. So really, we just hope to see as many faces out and about and as many lights up and down our streets as possible during December.
Thank you. Scott, you wrote a very nice report. Did you want to give up and present it, or would you like me to read it for you, or? Oh. This is from.
Yes, Mayor, I don't think he realized it was him.
Oh, yes. Yes. Did you want to talk about your report?
Very briefly, yes.
Yeah. If you guys look in your packet, this is what Scott provided. He's been really busy, so.
I will also add him to the report list, yes?
Yeah, please, yeah.
I'm Scott Borgioli, Councilor Ward. Nice to meet you in person finally. I'm Scott Borgioli. I was brought on by the council at last council meeting to work on the city emergency plan, basically do emergency management for the city and get everything up and going so that the city can handle any emergencies that come their way, and not necessarily handle, but at least have a plan of what to do. So I've been very actively working on that. For the month of September, I spent 51 hours, volunteer hours, by the way, getting things going and doing my research with the city, making contacts with people and so forth. And I will continue to do that. I have a goal date of around November 9th to put a rough draft plan on City Manager Miller's desk. I have reviewed the city plan, and as I suspected, the city emergency plan was done by an outside company, a private company who may specialize in doing it, but it is wholly outdated and needs to be brought up to par. And just real quick, there's parts of the emergency plan that says, well, the council, or I'm sorry, not the council, but the city will decide this or that. That's not a proper procedure for an emergency plan. You have to have the procedures in the emergency plan. You can't just leave it in limbo and say, well, you know, when the time comes, you gotta do this. That's not gonna cut it. So I will get you guys, I promise, I will get you guys up, and the plan will be in perfect position to get some grants applied for in the future to you know, do whatever the city needs to do with emergency management and with emergency preparedness and so forth. My goal is, my number one goal right now is I want to meet with the community and have a community meeting. The community is a resource, and I'd like to get a team of interested citizens who would potentially be able to volunteer during times of disaster. I'm working on identifying some mass sheltering sites. In the emergency plan, there's sites that are listed, but I've already talked with some of those facilities, and it's not 100%. So in the case where a mass shelter would be needed for the city, we need to have that in place and so forth. So I'm just going to keep working through it with your blessing, of course, and underneath City Manager Miller's leadership. That's kind of my goal and my plan and so forth.
Well, excellent. You really hit the ground running here. All these people that you've contacted already and getting everything set together, we really appreciate that.
And
you're definitely a hands-on, go-at-it person, so we
yes,
appreciate that.
yes. And this is just, you know, a taste of what's to come. So I promise you, I'm an ally and a resource for the citizens, and you know, we'll get this up and going, and hopefully bring the community together in this particular field, and you know, let's, you know, move forward and make it work, so forth. And on another note, I have identified some needs. We need communications, and I'm gonna, my personal company will donate to purchase some radios and stuff for the city, so walkie-talkies, so that during times of need, we have that. And I will be working with City Manager Miller on placement of that, and that will probably be a stash at City Hall and a stash at where the mass shelter location will be. And nothing will be put in place with Ms. Miller approving it and then Ms. Miller presenting the plan to the council for the council to approve. So I just want you to know that I'm not going to set this up and you guys don't know about it. Ms. Miller will present it to you, and then you will make the final approval.
Right.
So that's how it's going to go.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
So much.
Fantastic.
This is what I do. I have the experience, and I'm very glad to be here and help out and, you know, dedicate my time and talent. So it keeps me busy.
I do have one question.
Yes.
Did you say that November starts your busy time with your other job?
I do. I'm a meteorologist as my day job, and I do start my busy time, but I will have afternoons and evenings available, and I will continue to dedicate that towards volunteering with the city of Lakeside. So
thank you.
Plus, you have a lot of pieces in place already, so.
yes, yeah, I do. And I already have the vision in my mind, because it's not my first rodeo, so I know how I'll lay this out. Get it going.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
All right. We are now at mayor and council comments. We'll start with Nikki.
I had a couple of questions for council and the city manager based on citizen concerns. With the Woodland Drive thing, is there anything that the city can do to help in that instance with the street, and the drainage ditch?
The complaint has been routed to the proper department, and we'll have to see
Did the forestry department get a notification again? Because they're the ones who are really responsible.
I just got the complaint today.
Okay, yeah,
And also 2 phone calls.
yeah, yeah. Right, didn't we talk to the forestry department about that?
And I,
Well, the forestry department has said that their job is the cutting up the mountain and making sure that that was all proper and all to their inspection, everything was done how it's supposed to. The runoff that's in our drainage or street drainage ditch, I am pretty sure that's partially our responsibility, the drainage portion of it.
the culverts,
Yeah,
Yeah.
cleaning out the culverts, so, due to, other issues in the city, staff has not been able to do the task work that is normally done.
no,
because-
I'm just saying, is there
Yeah.
going forward? we
Which,
can do?
right, but which includes cleaning out the culverts and ditches. So, let me get with, staff and see what we can do about that. And then if there's somebody else that I'm supposed to contact, my understanding was that Counselor Miller was part of that conversation.
When they dug the drainage or the culverts out last year sometime, that was the county doing that. Would we be able to maybe contact them about doing that?
That's why he wasn't here today, so tomorrow, he'll have to contact whoever's responsible for, and I'll have a follow-up for you.
I was hoping maybe at our coming workshop, we can, I know you're in the process of getting, the 8th Street property appraised. But I think maybe we can add a discussion about the 8th Street property on the coming workshop to try to, I think maybe there's things we can try to eliminate or go forward with.
You get a pretty full workshop. I don't know, so if you guys, we really need to get that ARPA stuff, COVID money figured out. And we need to make sure that the wastewater plant is going forward. I believe you were inviting, Aaron for that workshop. Aaron Speakman. Wastewater plant. But, I don't know, that time.
I think as long as, we already made the direction to get an appraisal going. And as long as that's still being worked on, and we're confident that it's being worked on.
And we're talking about the full, okay, I think that's everything I wanted to ask of you guys and the city manager. Wanted to say thank you for everyone who came and showed support tonight. We're going to the League of Oregon City Conference next week, and it's always like so awesome to go there and see all the other cities that are in the same boat as us. We learn a whole lot, so the city manager, me, and I think Adam are going, so we'll be enlightening. So, yeah, thank you.
I just want to thank the senior center for donating to fixing the deck. The 50% will really help. Just goes to show that they're sticking up, they're helping out as much as they can, and it's very appreciated. I'm done.
Like typical, I appreciate having a full house here, and I really appreciate hearing the voices of the public. You guys coming and sharing your thoughts and feelings is how we know what you want for our community. So please keep doing that. The last thing I wanted to discuss was during the public comments, we had a request from LBO that indicated that we had volunteers willing to pay 100% for a project to put outlets on 16 light poles in town. I think they asked if at all possible, if we could discuss that and potentially approve that here tonight. I don't know if that's possible within the rules, but I feel like it's a no-brainer. We have two professional contractors, a general contractor and electrical contractor. We have no cost to the community, and I think it's a pretty clear benefit if we can get power put on those places. So it's my request to this council, if we can get that approved, that I think that would be very much appreciated by the community. I don't know if we need a motion or not, but if we could just nod our heads, maybe, I don't know.
I would just like to ask that we have input from Public Works section, if they're, just for some input.
Sure.
Yeah, whether they're a piece of, we need to get in touch with Public Works, we need to get in touch with our, are those even insured?
Again, I need
I have
some
no idea,
information.
So, I mean, we can put it on the workshop.
If we can have a discussion about it as soon as possible, I think these
I mean,
folks are ready
it's
to
not
act.
something you can just turn around.
No, I get it. I'm just saying they're ready to act as soon as we
Yeah.
can provide them with the thumbs up.
Councilor Ward?
No, this is even something the council needs to approve. Because there's no expenditure funds.
Yeah.
Well, don't we own the polls, right?
It's the city's property and we just need to make sure that it's, you know, the workshop, if everything's cool and, you know, not costing us anything, so it's, you know.
Like Counselor Ward said, if it's okay with the streets department and it's okay with us, since it's no cost, would you just be able to give the okay if it was okay with us?
Oh. well, Expect so.
Is it okay with us then?
I'm sorry, are these locking? Did I hear lock-ins?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something like that, I don't see why we would.
The idea
be
discussed,
involved.
I'm sorry. The idea discussed at the meeting was that they go up high on the poles, so they're not available to the general. And they would be sealed, locked each year, and, you know, I think they'll probably be 8 or 10 feet off the ground, so really, you'd have to go way out of your way to access.
Yeah, I'm, like I said, as long as it meets parameters, I mean, as long as we don't shoot ourselves in the foot on it, we're fine.
And then we pay the electrical permit as well? Is that?
It was discussed that either of the two contractors could pull the permit, and I think if there's any cost associated with that, the LBO would be willing to take care of that.
Thank you.
Councilor,
Scott.
is that good enough for you, Adam?
As long, I mean, did we approve her to talk with Public Works, and if so, maybe give us a thumbs up?
I think we did.
Okay. Yeah.
Sure.
I want to thank Scott for his work on the emergency preparedness plan. It's one of those things that we hope we never need, but someday something will. I'd like to thank Cassie for pointing out Rule 7.2.16 for my consideration. I'll certainly do that. Some of you expressed anger and disappointment with me this evening, and your feelings are, I'm sure, genuine. The people I talked about at the last meeting are vibrant members of the community and your friends, and I'm sure you like them, and so that's natural. On the other hand, no one has brought forth to me any factual information that counters my concerns, and while you were angry about my remarks, I was angry when I made them. So hopefully there can be some working in that.
I will gladly furnish all my emails between me and the city manager. I have absolutely nothing to hide, and I would like to see facts for the counter side of that as well. So, yes.
Same with me. I have every interaction I've ever had with the city manager printed out in the folder in front of me. any citizen that wants to sit down with me and look them over, including Counselor Ward, the mayor, and discuss, I'm confident that it's very clear that I haven't harassed or antagonized the city manager. So just let me know if you want to see him.
Difference of opinion. Alan?
Well, I'm not angry, I'm glad to see you. The first meeting. Seemed good to me.
Great. With that, I adjourn the meeting.
You don't.